Hello and welcome to Voices of Parenting podcast. I am so glad you're here. Join us as we journey through all kinds of different people's stories of parenting, self-development, and just awakening into the beautiful people they are today. My hope is that you will find something to relate to and something that you can take with you as you continue on your own exquisite and beautiful, powerful, and purposeful journey as the person that you are in this world. My name is Mussi Diskin. I am an advanced nurtured heart approach trainer. I am a parenting coach. I am also an inner wealth coach, which means that I help people rediscover and connect to the people that they truly were all along, but may have gotten forgotten along the way. So to find out more about me and what I offer, you can check out mussidiskin.com, contact me through there, respond to this podcast, find me on social media. I would love to connect and I would love to hear your feedback. To sponsor a Voices of Parenting podcast episode, please reach out to energizinghearts@gmail.com. Thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Today we have a returning guest, Jennifer Nathanson, a friend through the Nurtured Heart Approach, who is going to share with us some more about her journey with Nurtured Heart. So before we start, Jennifer, if you could introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we'll get right into it.
Yeah, thank you, Mussi, for having me back again. It was so fun chatting with you last time, and I'm excited to delve into all things Nurtured Heart again with you. So I am a certified advanced trainer with the Nurtured Heart Approach. I share that in it's called Health Within the Home program in taking people through the approach. And then I also am a functional medicine provider, and so I offer both of those things.
Well, thank you for giving us your time and expertise and experience. So if you heard our last episode, Jennifer shared a little bit of how she got to Nurtured Heart. And I want to take this opportunity to maybe dig a little deeper, ask you a few more specific questions about that journey. I know that it's so relatable. I know you're somebody, you mentioned in the last episode that you're somebody who has tried a lot of different parenting approaches. You've worked with coaches, even, that one-on-one, and you just didn't seem to get the results you were looking for until you landed on Nurtured Heart. And so what I would love to hear more about is if you could walk us through maybe some of the things that weren't working. What I'd love to hear is why you think they weren't working. And then what was it about Nurtured Heart that seemed to be different or, get that result you were looking for?
Yeah. I think that that's a big question, right? And I think that part of what wasn't working is I didn't feel totally clear in what the other approaches were. And so for reading a book, something really resonated and felt like, oh, this is a great approach. I think I was more attracted to approaches that were not very authoritative and more permissive, and yet I didn't know how to pull that off, and it just felt like I was constantly kind of trying to please or befriend my kids instead of having some clear boundaries as well. And I think, and I'm kind of flipping here quickly, but I think that that's one thing, like the Nurtured Heart approach, the approach is really clear, as how it's taught and also how you use it. But I also think, it's beautiful that we start by not focusing on what's going wrong, right? Not energizing what's going wrong with stand 1. And then with stand 2, we start building relationship by telling our kids everything that we're seeing and hearing that's going well. But then there's the added piece of stand 3, which gives us real clarity on how to handle rules and boundaries and what to do if a rule or a boundary's been crossed or broken and how to be consistent with that. I just wasn't getting that with the other approaches. And so I would try stuff And we spoke to this last time when we spoke. I would try it, and then if it didn't work out well or things weren't going very well, I would give up because I'd feel defeated and I didn't have tools to help myself through that. And you can just keep going with Nurtured Heart. Like there's the stands alone as they are presented are very simple and a way to follow, but you can go into each one of them into further depth. And as you get more familiar with using the approach, you can use it in different ways. Like I feel like the clarity piece of stand 3 has been so incredibly helpful for me and my husband too, to both have real clarity. Well, what are our house rules? We like had some ideas and we tried to have rules and boundaries around those, but we weren't consistent around it. And maybe his house rule was a little different than my house rule. And so it's really hard to uphold that or teach your kids what the rules and boundaries are if you don't have clarity yourself. And I felt like, we literally write them down and we've posted them just so everybody knows, so that everybody's on the same page.
I relate to that so much, Jennifer. And so many like ping, ping, pings are going on in my brain right now because that was exactly me before Nurtured Heart. I, by nature, believe in people. I, by nature, think people are well meaning and good at their core and make sense. That was not something I needed anyone to tell me or train me with. So naturally, that led me to the more gentle parenting models because they believe in that and they talk about that and they encourage that, the empathy and the attunement and the co-regulation. It's all in this understanding that kids are not bad and kids are not trying to hurt you or any of that. And so my heart always leaned towards that. But what you're saying, this piece of functionality was missing. And there wasn't, I saw it especially in my preschool classroom. The kids loved me. The parents loved me. There was no decorum. And that was a challenge. And that isn't really safe. It isn't really safe to have a classroom that isn't running smoothly because there are a lot of little bodies and there's danger, and whether it's emotional danger or physical danger or all the dangers, it's there needs to be decorum.
Yeah.
There needs to be a sense of stability and safety. And I felt that it was missing. But yet when I leaned into what people were saying about those things, I felt like an allergic reaction. But I don't want to punish. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in scaring kids. I don't believe in threatening kids. I don't believe in lecturing kids. Like I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So people were like, you need more decorum, or you need to have this, or you need to have that, or like, your kids need to, I don't even things I knew, like, my kids needed to not hurt each other or not make messes, whatever it is. But like I couldn't put my foot down about it because putting my foot down meant a breach in my values.
Yeah.
And what Nurtured Heart gave me was a way to have that balance, those boundaries and those rules and those consequences, and a well-oiled wheel that works, that makes sense, and that I'm clear and consistent, which creates so much safety, which in itself helps behaviors get lost, without a breach in my values, without stepping out of integrity, which is everything to me. And it's interesting because for me, that was where the most work was. Stand 3, learning how to be clear in my language, learning how to be clear in my mind, learning how to do that was the biggest push for me. But what I love about this is that, like you said, there's also stand 1 and there's also stand 2. And I think that's the gift of Nurtured Heart. There are approaches that are phenomenal at stand 1. There are approaches that are phenomenal at stand 3. And there are approaches that even dabble with stand 2. I have to say Nurtured Heart is hands down the best thing I've ever seen about stand 2. I haven't seen stand 2 as well developed as anywhere else. But what Nurtured Heart gives me is a complete picture, a complete foundation where anything I'm bringing in goes either into stand 1 or to stand 2 or to stand 3. And together I can stand in integrity and have it all. Who ever thought I could have it all? It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. And so I love what you're saying, because that's the piece of Nurtured Heart that I think is the biggest gift, is that it's all the sides. It helps you see the whole picture. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. And I mean, I struggled just the same. Like I had a really hard time with consequences. I remember there was a time when my husband was like, okay, I know we're not supposed to use the word consequence. Like I had this aversion to, um, upholding rules and boundaries, probably because I wasn't super clear on them, but also because from reading these other approaches, I felt like I wasn't supposed to be doing them. Um, but I think that with Nurtured Heart 2, with how Stand 3 is explained, a consequence doesn't feel like a punishment, right? The definition is so different. And I love that it's okay, like let's reset, how whatever that looks like for you, and then come back into the game when you're ready. When you've reset, you're welcome back into the play, into the conversation, into the group, whatever's going on. It's not it doesn't feel like what I think a lot of people think of as a traditional consequence or punishment of you need to go to your room for 10 minutes because you're 10 years old, or you need to go do this or whatever. Or I don't know if people ask their kids to write stuff anymore because they've said the wrong thing, but it's very different, and it doesn't feel like you're giving them punishment in any way. It's like we're teaching our kids to have emotional regulation. We're teaching them how to get back on track so that they can get back into whatever it is that they want to be doing, and feel good about themselves at the same time. Oh yeah, I know how to get myself back on track. I know how to manage these big feelings. I know what to do when I'm feeling really frustrated or angry. I mean, I've been reflecting on that a lot lately because my youngest, who isn't actually the one who brought me to Nurtured Heart, but he's also intense in his own way. And he used to respond really big with anything that went wrong. And I've just really been recognizing more and more, especially lately, that he's like handling his big feelings in a totally different way. And it's gorgeous. It's amazing. And of course I'm like letting him know I'm so impressed with how you're handling your big feelings these days. And I don't, I didn't know that that was really possible. Not, like just it was going on for a long time. And it's been such a nice, I don't know, observation to recognize. And of course, now I'm also looking for it too. Like that's what the approach does for us too. I'm looking for that. I'm not looking for, what's going wrong or the big explosions. So, anyways, yeah,
Ah,
I love Nurtured Heart.
yes, I'm getting like emotional here because of how excited I'm getting about this. It's so true, and the idea that allowing our kids at such a young age to live by a moral compass and to feel empowered to know what that is and to make choices aligned with that and to reel themselves in to alignment with that, to be
Yeah.
standing with integrity, like that integrity that held me back from so many approaches, right? To
Yeah.
be, because my daughter was in she actually gave me permission to share the story. She was in class and she was not exactly cooperating, and apparently her teacher, who I give him so much credit for doing this, said, some of you may have not learned the material. So I'm not saying who, and I'm not saying you have to, but everyone can go out to recess if you feel like you haven't learned the material, because of your behavior. Stay in, and we'll learn it over, or we'll review it. And some of the other kids in the class were saying, "Oh, who's going to stay in? Nobody's going to stay in." And she stayed in
Oh my
on
gosh.
her own. And she told me, she's like, "'Cause he's right. I didn't really learn it. I was talking." Like,
Oh, oh
I
my
can't
God.
even tell you how amazed I was. I was like, "Who are you?" She's 9 years old. Okay. She's 9 years old. Which 9-year-old stays in because he's right? I wasn't listening. I didn't learn the material. Like, that's the right thing to do. Or just
Yeah.
like with social situations where friends are doing things and she's like, whatever, like it's not the right thing to do. Or, she's thinking on her own 2 feet and with her heart and with her intuition and with her head all the time, all together.
Yeah.
And what you said, like, I didn't even know this was possible. This is what Nurtured Heart was for me. I had dreams, I had visions, I had things I believed in, and it gave me the key to open that door and be able to actually have them.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
so exciting. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, like, keeping in mind, and we touched on this last time too, that I find that what I'm seeing in my kids is hands down like so super exciting, and I'm so grateful. And yet I still firmly believe that the approach is doing more for me and who I am than I'm hoping it's doing I know it is doing all the amazing things for my kids, but it's way more for me and helped me to be a parent I really feel proud to be. Like, I'm so grateful for who I am as a parent, and just even in the world in general. It's it's been, oh my God, just such a gift. It's such a gift to be able to go out into the world, like to the grocery store or to the airport or whatever, and not feel so disgruntled. I think a lot of people are, because of this negativity bias that we're inherently have, we're always kind of looking for, well, what's not right in this situation? And let me get fired up about it. And it's so freeing and so lovely to be looking at situations and saying, well, what is going right about this? And hey, maybe I can, pull up a conversation with this person who's helping me at the grocery store, or, and just having the kindness and empathy and looking for that instead of looking for what's going wrong. It's so nice. It
It
just
is.
feels so good.
Yes. And I notice about myself, I'm like, I'm smiling. Oh, I'm also smiling now. Oh, I'm also smiling. I
Yes.
smile a lot, and I smile at people, and I'm happy to see them, and I'm happy to be there. And I
Yeah.
just automatically think things are good. It's so amazing. And also it says a lot about neuroplasticity and the
Yes.
incredible power we have as humans to rewire our brains and actually change. Actually, because
Yeah.
I promise you that I did not walk around smiling and thinking good of everyone and everything a few years
Totally.
ago. And I do, and I don't try. I've actually been getting comments lately, and I've been thinking about it. Comments lately about, like, oh, you compliment a lot, or oh, you're really good at giving compliments, or oh, you compliment everything. Sometimes the energy behind that is appreciative, and sometimes the energy behind that is not as appreciative, and that maybe
Mm,
hurts a little bit. And I have to, like, ask myself, like, wait, like, am I being authentic, or like what? But I think it's just a matter of comfortability and not being used to it.
yeah.
And either way, I need to decide who I am regardless of how people receive it, even though I
Yep.
do want to respect other people at the same time. But I will say that when I get a response like that, I taken aback just because I didn't realize. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to compliment. I'm not trying to find good things to say. I'm not walking into your home and being like, is there anything nice here that I can speak to? It's like I walk in and I'm like, oh my goodness, your house is so lovely. Look at that, and look at that, and look at that, and look at that, and look at you, and look at you. I don't even say all the things I notice, but there's so many
Right.
things. There's so many things. And it's
Yeah.
automatic. And it's just, yeah, and sometimes I'm struck by how different it is. Like, I don't realize how different I am. Sometimes my kids will be like, "Could you not do it in front of my friends?" I haven't actually got that comment in a very long time, but there was a while that they were saying that, and it's
Yeah.
like, wow, I'm really different, you know? Like,
Yeah.
but I'm so proud of it, and I love it, and I'm happy. I want to be happy. My husband told me once in the beginning of Nurtured Heart, after the CTI, when I came back and I was on cloud, I don't know what,
Yeah.
and extreme. And I actually am very, very happy to be where I am now, because the balance means I'm more integrated. Like, it wasn't as integrated then as it is now, and I'm grateful for the maturity, I
Yeah.
guess, and the balance. But he was like so up against all of these greatness things I'm telling him, and you are the greatness of this, and you are the greatness of that. He's like, don't use the word greatness with me, and don't, you know, and and at one point, so I was giving him recognitions without using the word greatness, but I was just thanking him a lot also, just being more appreciative. And he said, I don't get why I would tell you to stop doing this, because what would I prefer? because I was very negative and I was very controlling and I was very nitpicking and I was very, I'll say, disrespectful to him before. And he's
Mm,
like, what would I rather?
yeah,
You know, you nagging me about every little thing, or you appreciating every little thing? I wish it wasn't every little thing either way, but if it has to be every little thing, at least it should be you appreciating me. And I'm like,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's so great that he was able to shift, right, over time. Because I think that, and I think a lot of people, this happens too at the beginning, is even with their kids and their spouses, you do get resistance, right? Because we are so ingrained to that negativity bias and it feels comfortable.
Yeah.
So having somebody recognize you doesn't feel comfortable. It takes time.
Like
Go ahead.
automatically, when people hear recognition in the beginning, very often the thought is that there's a negative agenda behind it. Like,
Yes.
what are you warming me up for? Why are you being nice? Why are you telling me good things? Like, do you
Yeah.
actually hate me? Are you about to criticize me? Are you about to give me advice? Like, and so
Yeah.
there's like the immediate reaction to a compliment is defensiveness. It's like,
Yeah.
whew,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
No, actually, I just wanted to tell you that. Like, actually, really, that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah.
No, I believe there was something more. You're just not saying it. You're thinking something in your head, you know?
Yeah. 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 Which, I mean, it's kind of sad when you think
Yeah.
about it, but um, and I think it's maybe important for people to hear, like, Mussi, you didn't start out right after with Nurtured Heart, complimenting everybody, right? I don't know about for you, but for me, like, initially there's a lot of intention behind it. Like there's an intention of really looking for what's going well. And then with that over time, that's where that neuroplasticity, like we rewire over time, that it just comes way more naturally over time and it's not so effortful.
Yeah.
So I think hopefully that feels like more realistic
Yeah.
to
And it
folks.
is very awkward for them and for us in the beginning because you're learning a new language. I mean, try talking another language. It's very awkward. Even if you spent years studying it in school, go to that country and try talking it. You're
Yeah.
going to feel like a fool. It's very awkward until it becomes normal.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
grateful that the culture in my home, which is where I do have the most say,
Yeah.
is normal, and it is absolutely what we do when we recognize ourselves. We praise ourselves all the time. We
Yay. Yeah.
recognize each other, and it's so. My daughter told me today her brother had so much self control in school. I could see he really wanted to push me, and he didn't. And even more energetic attunement. I said, "Oh, did you say something to him?" She said, "No, it wasn't the right minute. I could see he was really flooded. If I would have said anything, he would have pushed me." She knew that wasn't a minute to tell him, but she brought it home still.
Yeah.
Like this is
Yeah.
the culture.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's a great story, Missy.
Incredible.
It's like a definite testament
Yes.
to Nurtured Heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is so much we could continue talking about.
Mhm.
Jennifer, we have to chat more. I want people to know if they want to hear more from you or they'd like to work with you. How do they reach you and what could they expect?
Thank you, Musi. So the easiest way is to just head on to my website. It's got information, and then you can book a 20-minute call where they hear more about Nurtured Heart. I get to hear about their story and see if it feels like a good fit. People can follow me on Instagram or on Facebook. They're all under my name, Jennifer Nathanson. I think I'm pretty easy to find. But
Yeah. And
yeah,
I'll put the link to your website down in the show notes.
thanks.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Jennifer, for gracing us with another episode. And until next time.
Thank you, Musi.
Hey, wait, don't go yet. Take a minute to find the beautiful quality that you have that you appreciate about yourself.